Bengali Hindus are ethnic Bengali adherents of Hinduism and native to the Bengal region of the Indian subcontinent. Bengali Hindus speak Bengali, which is classified as a part of the Indo-Aryan language family, and adhere to the Shakta and Vaishnava traditions of the native religion, Hinduism. Around the 8th century, Bengali branched off from Magadhi Prakrit, a derivative from Sanskrit that was prevalent in the eastern region of the Indian subcontinent at the time. During the Sena period, the Bengali culture developed into a distinct culture within the Hindu civilization. With the spread of Islam in the region in subsequent centuries, Islamic characteristics grew among Bengalis who converted to that religion. Although Bengali Hindus and Muslims continue to have significant similarities, Bengali Hindus were at the forefront of the Bengal Renaissance in the 19th century. The Bengal region was noted for its participation in the struggle for the independence from the British rule. At the time of independence of India in 1947, the province of Bengal was partitioned between Bengali Hindus and Bengali Muslims into West Bengal and East Bengal, parts of India and Pakistan, respectively. Millions of Bengali Hindus migrated from East Bengal and settled in West Bengal and other states of India. The migration continued in waves through the 50s and 60s, especially during the violence of 1950 and 1964. In 1971, during the Bangladesh Liberation War, an estimated 2.4 million Bengali Hindus were massacred by the Pakistani army. The Bengali Hindu population is mainly concentrated in the Indian state of West Bengal and in Bangladesh, while in the Indian states of West Bengal and Tripura they are in majority. In the other Indian states like Assam, Meghalaya, Jharkhand and the Union Territory of Andaman and Nicobar Islands, they form a significant linguistic minority. The Bengali Hindus constitute a minority ethnic group in both Bangladesh and India, forming less than 10% of the population in both the countries. For the 60s, like many other ethnic groups of India, many Bengali Hindus began to emigrate outside India, mostly to pursue higher studies or in search of lucrative careers. This gave rise to a sizable expatriate Bengali Hindu population in many parts of the world. Ethnonym. The Hindus are a religious group native to the Indian subcontinent, speaking a broad range of Indo-Aryan and Dravidian languages and adhering to the native belief systems rooted in the Vedas. The word Hindu is popularly believed to be a Persian exonym for the people native to the Indian subcontinent. The word is derived from Sindhus, the Sanskrit name for the river Indus, and it initially referred to the people residing to the east of the river. The Hindus are constituted into various ethno-linguistic subgroups, which in spite of being culturally diverse, share a common bond of unity. The word Bengali is an English exonym for the native Bengali word Bengali. The English word Bengali denoting the people as well as the language is derived from the English word Bengal denoting the region, which itself is derived ultimately from the Bengali word Vanga, which was one of the 5 historical kingdoms of eastern India. According to Haravamsa, Bali, the king of the Asuras, had 5 sons from his wife Sudeshna through sage Gautama. The 5 sons, namely Anga, Vanga, Kalinga, Pundra and Sumha, went on found 5 kingdoms of the same name in the eastern region of the Indian subcontinent. In ancient times, Vanga proper consisted of the deltaic region between Bhagirathi, Padma and Madhumati, but later on extended to include the regions which now roughly comprise the Indian state of West Bengal and Bangladesh. The Bengali Hindu people belong to the broader Hindu people. In India, they tend to identify themselves as Bengalis, while in Bangladesh they tend to identify themselves as Hindus. In the global context, the terms Indian Bengali and Bangladeshi Hindu are respectively used. In India, Bengali generally refers to Bengali Hindus. The other is usually identified as non-Bengali, a term that generically refers to the Indian people who are not Bengali-speaking, but sometimes specifically used to denote the Hindi-speaking population. Ethnology. The Bengali Hindus constitute of numerous endogamous castes, which are sometimes further subdivided into endogamous subgroups. The caste system evolved over centuries and became more and more complex with time. In the medieval period, several castes were boycotted by the ruling classes from time to time, and this isolation continued till the 19th century. These social boycotts were somewhat discriminatory in nature. After the Renaissance, the rigidity of the caste system ceased to a great extent, so much so that the first celebrated intercaste marriage took place as early as in 1925. The Bengali Hindu families are patriarchal as well as patrilocal and traditionally follow a joint family system. However, due to the partition and subsequent urbanization, the joint families have given way to the nuclear families. The Bengali Hindus were traditionally governed by the Deobagis school of law, as opposed to the Mitaksara school of law, which governed the other Hindu ethno-linguistic groups. In India, after the promulgation of the Hindu Code Bills, the Bengali Hindus along with other Hindus are being governed by uniform Hindu law. There are two major social subgroups among the Bengali Hindus, the Ghotas and the Bangals. The Bengali Hindus who emigrated from Pakistan at the wake of the partition and settled in West Bengal came to known as the Bangals, while the native Bengali Hindus of West Bengal came to known as Ghotas. For several decades after partition, these two social subgroups possessed marked difference in their accents, and the rivalry was manifested in many spheres of life, most notably in the support for the football clubs of East Bengal and Mohun Bagan respectively. Several such differences have eased with passing years. History. Ancient period. In the ancient times, some of the Bengali Hindus were seafaring people, as evident from Vijay Singha's naval conquest of Lanka. The tales of merchants like Chand Sadagar and Dhanapati Saudagar, whose ships sailed to far-off places for trade and establishment of colonies in Southeast Asia. By the 3rd century BCE, they were united into a powerful state, known to the Greeks as Gangaridai, whose military prowess demoralized Alexander from further expedition to the east. Later the region of Bengal came under Maurya, Shunga and Gupta rule. In the 7th century, Shashanka became the independent Bengali Hindu ruler of Gaudar. He successfully fought against his adversaries Harshavardhana and Bashkaravarmana and protected the sovereignty of the people. Medieval period. In the middle of the 8th century, the Bengali Hindu nobility democratically elected Gopala as the ruler of Gaudar, ushering in an era of peace and prosperity in Bengal, ending almost a century of chaos and confusion. The Buddhist Pala rulers unified Bengal into a single political entity and expanded it into an empire, conquering a major portion of North India. During this time, the Bengali Hindus excelled in art, literature, philosophy, mathematics, sciences and statecraft. The first scriptures in Bengali Charyapada was composed during the Pala rule. The Pala were followed by the Senas, who made far-reaching changes in the social structure of Bengali Hindus, introducing 36 new castes and orthodox institutions like Kulinism. The literary progress of the Pala and Sena period came to a halt after the Turkish conquest in the early 13th century. Except for Haridas Datta's Manasarbasan, no significant literary work was composed for about a century after the conquest, even though the ruling classes resisted the invaders. Gaudar, the center of Bengal polity, fell to the Islamic invaders. During this period, hundreds of temples and monasteries were desecrated. The next attack on the society came from the Islamic missionaries. Local chieftains like Akananda, Dakshan Ray and Mukat Ray resisted the missionary activities. The Pathan occupation of Bengal was limited to the region of Gorda, the rest of which was held in sway by different Bengali Hindu rulers. Islam religion gradually spread throughout the Bengal region, and many Bengali Hindus were converted to Islam. In the early 15th century, the Pathan rule of Gorda was overthrown by the Bengali Hindu nobility under the leadership of Ganesha. When the Delhi-based Mughals tried to bring Bengal under the direct rule, the Bengali Hindu chiefs along with some Bengali Muslims consolidated themselves into confederacies and resisted the Mughals. After the fall of the confederacies, the Mughals brought a major part of Bengal under the control and constituted a Suba. Independent Bengali Hindu kingdoms like Tripura and Cooch Behar continued to maintain the sovereignty. Early modern period. During the decline of the Mughal Empire, Nawabs of Bengal ruled large part of Bengal. During the reign of Alawadi Khan, a Nawab, the severe taxation and frequent raids made the life miserable for the ordinary Bengali people. A section of the Bengali Hindu nobility helped the British East India Company in overthrowing the Nawab's Siraj-ud-Daulah regime. After obtaining the revenue rights, the East India Company imposed more oppressive taxation that led to the famine of 1770, in which approximately one-third of the Bengali population died of starvation. The British began to face stiff resistance in conquering the semi-independent Bengali Hindu kingdoms outside the pale of Muslim-occupied Bengal. In some cases, even when the rulers have been captured or killed, the ordinary people began to carry on the fight. These resistances took the form of Bhumij and Paik rebellion. These warring people were later listed as criminal tribes and barred from recruitment in the Indian Army. In 1766, the British troops were completely routed by the sannyasis and fakirs of the warrior monks at Dinhata, where the latter resorted to guerrilla warfare. Bankim Chandra's Ananda Math is based on the famine and consequential Sannyasi rebellion. British rule, Renaissance, struggle for independence. According to author James Jeremiah Novak, as British rulers took power from Bengal's ruling Muslim class, they strategically catered to Bengali Hindus. The British rule destroyed the bases of Bengali Muslim society. Bengali Hindus got favors from the British rulers and experienced development in education and social mobility. In the 19th century, the elite class of Bengali Hindu people underwent radical social reforms and rapid modernization. The phenomenon came to be known as the Bengal Renaissance. Riding on the Renaissance, Bengali Hindus revived the sense of patriotism in the late 1860s, and by the turn of the 20th century, they were envisioning a modern nation-state. Public media like press and theatres had become vents of nationalist sentiments. Apolitical organizations had given way to political platforms. Secret revolutionary societies had emerged, and the society at large had become restive. With rising nationalism among Bengali Hindus, the British rulers applied divide-and-rule policy, and started to make favours to Bengali Muslims, in order to keep the rising Bengali Hindu aspirations at bay. The British partitioned the province in 1905 and along with some additional restructuring came up with two provinces, Eastern Bengal and Assam, and Bengal itself, in each of which the Bengali Hindus were reduced to minorities. The Bengali Hindus, however, opposed the partition tooth and nail, embarked on a political movement of Swadeshi, boycott and revolutionary nationalism. On the 28th of September 1905, the day of Mahilaya, 50,000 Bengali Hindus resolved before the Mother at Kalayat to boycott foreign goods and stop employing foreigners. The British Raj finally annulled the partition in 1911. The Raj, however, carried out some restructuring, and carved out Bengali Hindu majority districts like Manbhum, Singhbhum, Santal Pargana and Purnia, awarding them to Bihar, and others like Asha that were awarded to Assam, which effectively made the Bengali Hindus a minority in the United Province of Bengal. The Britishers also transferred the capital from Calcutta to New Delhi. The revolutionary movement gained momentum after the partition. Bengali revolutionaries collaborated with the Germans during the war to liberate British India. Later, the revolutionaries defeated the British Army in the Battle of Jalalabad and liberated Chittagong. During the Quit India movement, the revolutionaries liberated the Tamluk and Kantay subdivision of Midnapore district from British rule and established the Tamralipta national government. The British, unable to control the revolutionary activities, decided to hinder the Bengali Hindu people through administrative reforms. The Government of India Act 1919 introduced in the 144-member Bengal Legislative Assembly 46 seats for the Muslims, 59 for the institutions, Europeans and others, and left the rest 39 as general, where the Bengali Hindus were to scramble for a representation. The situation worsened with the Communal Award of 1932, wherein the 250-member Bengal Legislative Assembly a disproportionate 119 seats were reserved for the Muslims, 17 for Europeans, Anglo-Indians and Indian Christians, 34 for the institutions, and the rest 80 were left as general. The Communal Award further divided the Hindus into scheduled caste Hindus and caste Hindus. Out of the 80 general seats, 10 were reserved for the scheduled castes. In response, the leading Bengali Hindu landholders, lawyers and professionals signed the Bengal Hindu Manifesto on the 23rd of April 1932, rejecting the justification of reservation of separate electorates for Muslims in the Bengal Legislative Assembly. In 1946, the Muslim League government resorted to large-scale massacre of the Hindu population of Kolkata in the name of Direct Action Day, which escalated into the bloodiest ethnic conflict of modern India. After 2 days of suffering, the Bengali Hindus resorted to a violent reprisal that resulted in heavy casualties on the other side, finally forcing the government to stop the mayhem. Later in the year, the Muslim League government orchestrated the infamous Noakhali genocide. The Direct Action Day and the Noakhali genocide prompted the Bengali Hindu leadership to move for the creation of a Bengali Hindu majority province, by partitioning Bengal. At the time, the movement for creation of Pakistan was in full swing and Bengal was supposed to form one of its constituent provinces. After the failure of United Bengal plan, when it became evident that all of Bengal would go to Pakistan, the Bengali Hindus voted for the partition of Bengal. On the 23rd of April 1947, the Amrita Bazar Patrika published the results of an opinion poll, in which 98.3% of the Bengali Hindus favored the creation of a separate homeland. The proposal for the partition of Bengal was moved in the Legislative Assembly on the 20th of June 1947, where the Hindu members voted 58 to 21 in favor of the partition, with 2 members abstaining. The Boundary Commission awarded the Bengali Hindus a territory far less in proportion to the population, which was around 46% of the population of the province, awarding the Bengali Hindu majority district of Khulna to Pakistan. However, some Bengali Muslim majority districts such as Murshidabad and Malda were handed to India. Post-partition period. After the partition, the majority of the urban middle-class Bengali Hindu population of East Bengal immigrated to West Bengal. The ones who stayed back were the ones who had significant landed property and believed that they will be able to live peacefully in an Islamic state. However, after the genocide of 1950, Bengali Hindus fled East Bengal in thousands and settled in West Bengal. In 1964, tens of thousands of Bengali Hindus were massacred in East Pakistan, and most of the Bengali Hindu-owned businesses were permanently destroyed. During the Liberation War of Bangladesh, an estimated 2.4 million Bengali Hindus were massacred in Bangladesh. The Enemy Property Act of the Pakistan regime, which is still in force in the new incarnation of Vested Property Act, has been utilized by successive Bangladeshi governments to seize the properties of the Hindu minorities who left the country during the partition of India and Bangladesh Liberation War. According to Professor Abul Barkash of Dhaka University, the act has been used to misappropriate 2,100,000 acres of land from the Bengali Hindus, roughly equivalent to the 45% of the total landed area owned by them. The refugee rehabilitation became an acute crisis, and hundreds of refugees were rehabilitated in the inhabitable terrains of Orissa, Chhattisgarh, Uttar Pradesh and the Andamans. Apart from that, thousands of Bengali Hindus had also immigrated to Assam, Tripura and other regions of the northeast. In the Barak Valley region of Assam, where the Bengali Hindus were in a majority because of the inclusion of Sylhet into Pakistan, and subsequent immigration of Bengali Hindus from Sylhet into Kashmir, an impasse was arrived at on the question of language. The government of Assam had unilaterally imposed Assamese as the sole medium of education. In response, the Bengali Hindus began peaceful demonstrations demanding Bengali as the optional medium of primary education in the Barak Valley region. The situation took an ugly turn on the 19th of May 1961, when 11 Bengali Hindu protesters, including a minor girl, were gunned down by the police at the Silchar railway station. Subsequently, the Assam government allowed Bengali as the medium of education in Barak Valley. However, the rise of ethnic militancy in the 80s and 90s once again made the Bengali Hindus vulnerable in the northeast. The United Liberation Front of Assam, National Democratic Front of Bodoland, Muslim United Liberation Tigers of Assam and National Liberation Front of Tripura militants have selectively targeted the Bengali Hindu people, prompting the latter to form the Bengali Tiger Force. Discrimination against Bengali Hindu population is not limited to the northeast. In Jharkhand, the Bengali Hindu demand of making Bengali the second official language has not been met, in spite of the fact that the Bengali Hindu population forms the second largest linguistic group in the state. In Bihar, many Bengali Hindu refugees are denied land-owning rights and caste certificates. On the other hand, massive infiltration from Bangladesh has substantially altered the demography in West Bengal, so much so that Bengal Hindus have been reduced to minorities in the border regions. Culture, literature. The proper Bengali literary history begins with the early Vaishnava literature like the Sri Krishna Kirtana and the Vaishnava Padavalas, followed by translation literatures like Ramayana and Sri Krishna Vijaya. In the medieval period, literary works on the life and teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were composed. This period saw the emergence of Shakta Padavalas, the characteristic feature of Bengali Hindu literature in the Middle Age are the Mangal Kavyas, that glorify various Hindu gods and goddesses, often using folkloristic backgrounds. The early modern period saw a flurry in the literary activity, especially after marked the emergence of the Bengali press. The first Bengali prose Raja Pratap was written during this time. The Renaissance saw a rapid development in modern Bengali literature. Most of the epics, poems, novels, short stories and dramas of the modern classical literature were written during this period. The Bengal Literary Society that later came to be known as Bangiya Sahitya Parishad was founded. The literary development during the Renaissance culminated in Rabindranath's Nobel Prize for Literature. In the post-partition period, the Bengali Hindus pioneered the Hungry Generation, Nachan Kabata and the Little Magazine movements. Of late, some of them have made the mark in contemporary English literature. Art. The Kalaid school of painting flourished in Bengal in the early modern period, and especially after the first paper mill was set up in 1809. During the rise of nationalism in the early 20th century, the Bengali Hindus pioneered the Bengal School of Art. It provided the artistic medium of expression to the Hindu nationalist movement. Though the Bengal school later gave way to modernist ideas, it left an enduring legacy. In the post-liberalization phase of India, modern art acquired a new dimension as young artists like Devajyoti Ray, Sudha Roy and Paresh Maity started gaining international recognition. Devajyoti Ray is known for introducing pseudo-realism, which is one of the most original genres of Indian art today. Religion. The Bengali Hindus generally follow the beliefs and practices that fall under the broad umbrella of Hinduism. Majority of them follow either the Shakta or the Vaishnava traditions, or even sometimes a synthesis of the two. The minor traditions include Shaiva, etc. A significant minority is atheist who do not follow any rituals. Brahmoism is also found among Bengali Hindus, a part of the parent tradition. The Bengali Hindus usually affiliate themselves to one of the many sects that have come to be established as institutionalized forms of the ancient Guru Shishya traditions. Major amongst them include the Ramakrishna Mission, Bharat Savashram Sangha, Bijoy Krishna Goswami, Anukul Thakur, Matua ISKCON, Gaudiya Math, Ananda Marga, etc. Festivals. According to a famous Bengali proverb, there are 13 festivals in 12 months. Bengali Hindus celebrate all major Indian festivals. The year begins with the Bengali New Year's Day, Poela Boishakh, which usually falls on the 15th of April. Traditional business establishment commence the fiscal year on this day, with the worship of Lakshmi and Ganesha and inauguration of the Hakata. People dress in ethnic wear and enjoy ethnic food. Poela Boishakh is followed by Rabindra Jayanti, Rath Yatra and Janmashtami before the commencement of the pujas. The puja season begins with the Vishwakarma Puja and is followed up by Durga Puja, the greatest Bengali Hindu festival. It is commemoration of the victory of the good over the evil. According to Chandi Purana, goddess Durga killed Mahishasura, the evil demon, and saved the Devas. Rama, the prince of Ayodhya, invoked the blessings of goddess Durga in a battle against Ravana of Lanka. Durga Puja is the commemoration of Rama's victory over Ravana. Durga Puja is followed by Kojagari Lakshmi Puja, Kali Puja, Baiphontu and Jagadhatri Puja. The winter solstice is celebrated at Paush Sankranti in mid-January, followed by Netaji Jayanti and Saraswati Puja. The spring is celebrated in the form of Doliatrana Holi. The year ends with Karik Puja and Gajan. Bibliography. Ray. Nihar Ranjan. Banglalore Itihash. Days Publishing. Bandyopadhyay, Rakaldas. Bangla Itihash. Days Publishing. ISBN 81-70798663. Sen. Dinesh Chandra. Brihat Banga. Mitra. Satish Chandra. Jashore Kulna Itihash. Ghosh. Binoy. Paschimbanga Sanskriti. Inden. Ronald B. Nicholas. Ralph W. Kinship in Bengali Culture. DC Publishers. ISBN 8180280187. Bhattacharya S.K. Genocide in East Pakistan, Bangladesh. Ghosh. ISBN 0961161434. Camera Age: Prolonged Partition and Its Pogroms. Voice of India. Roy Tathagata. My People Uprooted. Ratna Prakashan. Bando Raman. Ethnic Cleansing in Bangladesh. CAAMB. Pramanik Bimal. Endangered Demography. GC. Modak Dastidar. Sachi G. Empire's Last Casualty. Indian Subcontinent's Vanishing Hindu and Other Minorities. Firma KLM. ISBN 8171021514. Sengupta, Nitish. History of the Bengali-Speaking People. UBS Publishers. ISBN 8174763554.